Philippine underdevelopment and dependency theory. The underlying assumptions of the idea of imperialism serve as the foundation for dependency theory. It links the country's growing integration to the causes of backwardness and underdevelopment into the tangled web of international markets, technology, and capital. The ideals of financial stability, of equity and fairness, of freedom and the chance to take part in the creation of our own neighborhoods, the value of political stability and peace, values that apply to each individual, and they suffer with a horrible unease. Our chiefs recognize the presence of a widespread ill health, and they assert that a crisis is necessary. The Philippines is part of third world country. Under development, there are factors affecting Philippines to progress towards development: corruption, poverty, jobless, housing and medical care, population, agriculture, technological advancement, crime and inflation. Corruption. Corruption is a type of dishonest or unethical behavior by a person in a position of authority, frequently done to further one's own interests. When high-ranking government officials take an oath to perform particular tasks that are required for their job, and then violate that pledge by lying to get what they want, it is corruption. The corruption grows when that authority expects and encourages those who work for them to assist in their crimes. Poverty. A person who is in poverty lacks a specific quantity of material goods or money, or has general shortage or dearth. It has several facets, including social, economic, and political components. Either an absolute or a relative definition of poverty is possible. The absence of the resources required to meet fundamental needs, such as those for food, clothes, and shelter, is referred to as absolute poverty or destitution. Individual social and economic standing in relation to the rest of society is taken into account while determining relative poverty. Jobless. Noting or pertaining to people without jobs, especially to those who are seeking employment. Housing and medical care. The potential to progress and succeed academically, preserve their health and well-being, and experience financial success in later life is provided through housing aid, which also lowers long-term societal expenses. Everyone gains when families can pay their rent. Economic and socialized housing, as defined in this act, refers to dwelling units that fall within the 30% of the gross family income range that is affordable to average and low-income earners, as determined from time to time by the National Economic and Development Authority. Along with restoring or sustaining health, medical treatment serves a number of other crucial purposes. These additional tasks include determining health status and certifying it, predicting the future, isolating the sick to prevent illness-related communication, and providing support for coping with illness-related problems. The caring function. Population. Population typically refers to the number of people in a single area, whether it be a city or town, region, country, continent, or the world. Agriculture. To cultivate the soil, develop crops, and care for livestock is the art and science of agriculture. The processing of plant and animal products for human use as well as their marketing are included. Growing plants and raising animals is known as agriculture or farming. Agriculture is one of the most effective means for eradicating extreme poverty, fostering shared prosperity, and providing food for the estimated 9.7 billion people who will exist by the year 2050. Agriculture was the key development in the rise of sedentary human civilization. Technological advancement. Technologies or applied sciences advance as they become more precise, accurate, efficient, or powerful or capable. Many significant changes, some better than others, have been brought about by scientific and technological developments throughout history. The business sector is able to better understand what would satisfy its clients thanks to technological innovation. The ability of the businessmen to successfully comprehend the attitude of their clients will enable them to provide satisfied services to them. Crime. An action or omission that constitutes an offense that may be prosecuted by the state and is punishable by law. A crime is a deliberate act that causes physical or psychological harm, damage to or loss of property, and is against the law. Inflation. Inflation is the rate of increase in prices over a given period of time. Inflation is typically a broad measure, such as the overall increase in prices or the increase in the cost of living in a country. The theory stated criticism in the text are: 1. The debt of Philippines were billions and trillions in international and lending corporation. 2. Instead of building housing and medical care for the Philippines, they include to sponsor the international beauty pageants, conferences, and sports. 3. Hotels mangers were rejoicing, having high rate prices. 4. Campaign to reduce family sizes through artificial contraception, and we are not imposing penalties upon prolific families. 5. Small farmers are frequently forced to sell their land to larger agricultural business owners who may use it to grow the same crop, subdivide it for homes, or clear the field for a factory. 6. The poor have always endured hardship and have never had access to bourgeoisie rights. Otherwise, they would. Supporting an authoritarian administration that uses populist rhetoric has nothing to lose. The Prebisch thesis and policies for development of less developed countries. As past head of the Economic Commission of Latin America and Secretary General of the United Nations Council on Trade and Development, Raul Prebisch's ideas and recommendations have been debated and to some extent accepted by the economists in the less developed countries. Dr. Raul Prebisch wrote The Economic Development of Latin America and Its Principal Problems. In this, he argued that the world was divided into two parts: the center and the periphery. The center is the industrial centers of the world, and the periphery is the underdeveloped countries of the world which specialize in agricultural and primary products. Prebisch recognized that the terms of trade of the less developed countries had decreased and predicted that they would continue to do so in his analysis of the prices of imports and exports from these nations. Prebisch thought that a nation would struggle to become industrialized if its terms of commerce were declining. Criticism in the theory: critics claim that the studies are irrelevant because a. They prioritize the terms of trade for commodities, and b. They prevent the development of new or improved products. c. They are based on the incorrect time periods, and d. They link manufactured items to industrialized countries and basic products to underdeveloped ones. There are many supports, arguments, and criticisms in theory that has been written by Prebisch that does and doesn't support the idea or study of him. Perhaps all focuses on debate of development by any aspects and study that opposed the theory. They also stated facts that connect and opposed the theory, whereas all arguments and criticism were accepted and doesn't in all economists. The economists who favor Prebisch's thesis strengthen his thesis through further studies and refinements of his thoughts. Those economists who oppose Prebisch's thesis center their arguments around the studies on which it is based. Philippine underdevelopment and dependency theory. Philippine underdevelopment and dependency theory. We can actually achieve development if we follow and focus on what are the problems needed to be solved. In the Philippines today, there's a lot of problems that needed to be addressed. Other countries have developed and improved because of ample materials, industrialized and modernized. As we follow what they do in order to progress, we will be like them. The Prebisch thesis and policies for development of less developed countries. This theory will help us, gives us advices in order to progress towards development. In these policies, we can learn on how to help underdevelopment countries, such as the development of industrial output and trade, were the main focuses of Raul Prebisch's policy ideas. He advocated the use of tariffs to limit industrial imports and the growth of industry in the periphery as part of his nationalistic import substitution program. Import substitution was unable to move from replacement to export output. Conclusion: students need to learn development theories because it gives them an understanding of how these theories give community developers a framework to help them understand and explain events. Developmental theories can also be stated in abstract terms and can be used to develop strategies and tools for effective practice. Generally speaking, developmental theories see development as a progression from straightforward to more intricate understandings of oneself and the outside world across time.